here once again, and I always look forward to the invitation from GALF. It is a bit of a daunting thing to begin the first session in the festival with a theme discussing Bob Dylan and Bob Dylan as a poet, which I would like to do with Luke and Mamang as she joins us. So who better than to discuss a theme like this with Luke? I'd just like to begin immediately. It seems, if I'm not wrong, today is the day for Dylan to get his Nobel Prize. I think so. And apparently he is not going to be there in person, although I don't think he has rejected the prize itself. That's interesting. We can discuss what motivations could be there for that. But I'd like to begin by asking Lou, what did you think when the formal announcement was made that Bob Dylan had in fact been awarded the Nobel Prize in Literature this year?
I feel like I've always been saying for the past 2 weeks when I heard this news. In fact, the first thing I heard this news was way back in 1965.
They were talking about it at that time?
No, because his writings were talking and screaming about it all the time. So that's why to me, I'm not surprised at all. In fact, I was pretty shocked because what took them so long, right? See, because, in that remote area, the eastern part of our country, India. So right from those years, I've listened to his songs, feel the depth of his writings. So that was, to me, it's kind of absurd for the rest of the world, for the rest of the educated world, especially from the West and on the East or whatever it is. So what took them so long? About 30 years, or some 40 years kind of stuff like that.
And how do you react to his reaction to getting the prize?
We're all blessed. I feel blessed, and all of us are blessed. And people all over the world are blessed because we are at a time and age when he is with us. He shares his writings with us. He shares his thunder, he shares his rain, he shares his sunshine with us. So from that point, I feel we are blessed.
And since here we are now going to be discussing the words of Bob Dylan as a poet. Of course, to the world, he is one of the best songwriters. So would you like to kind of discuss whether can songs be considered poetry?
Because from poetry, you can put a melody and that poetry becomes a song. So it works like that. You see, because Majaw in the first place, friends, Majaw is just a school dropout. So I'm not well and highly educated as you all. So my knowledge of whatever, it's very, very limited, extremely limited. And my command English is rather poor. So you have to bear with me. So from that point, see, I don't know anything about education because I've never been well educated because I never wanted. To me, education is a day-to-day life, to live life. So that's the way I see it. So that's why I don't read books.
Putting it in a slightly different way is that can we look at the words of Bob Dylan?
Of course.
And look at it without the music, only the words, and then look at it as poetry.
Of course we can. So see, because when he wrote songs like Blowing in the Wind, like a simple question he asked, how many roads must a man walk down? So lots of people, they say, it is a protest song. His writings is protesting. He's not protesting. He's just asking a question. So from that point, to me, I see from a different perspective. He is just asking, and he's sharing his questions and without being authoritative. So that's it. It's so easy and effortless to understand him as a human being. So that's the way I see things. It's like, like say like today, the sun shines so bright, but it's either the sun shines you on, or the sun shines on you. So that's for each and every one of us to think, but not to keep on thinking and thinking, but like to feel what exactly does it mean. It's either the sun is just there to warm us up, or the sun is there to brighten up the world, to bring life to the world, or to bring a new meaning in our existence. That's the way Lu Majaw feels, that's the way Lu Majaw sees. I don't have the authority actually to be here among you guys. I mean, like, I'm so humbled by God, man. You see, because I'm not the authority for to make comments and to discuss and debate about poetries and stuff like that. I don't come from that school. But anyway, it's okay.
So, since we are discussing it, I must say that one of my most prized possessions is the collected lyrics of Bob Dylan, which are there right from his very first album, and it comes to very, very, very close to his work which is done currently. When you look at his songs on the page, as several of us who are poets or who write poetry, who in fact read poetry, it does tend to stand, even by itself as good poetry. Take the example of a very simple song, very profound if you look at it that way, like All Along the Watchtower. And you look at it, All Along the Watchtower on a page which is enjambed, where it's broken up into lines of verse, and it's very interesting to look at it that way. Which is why I was asking Lou, that what is music central to appreciating Bob Dylan? Or is there the possibility of appreciating Bob Dylan, his words, of course, separate from the music? And even in the world of mainstream pop or rock music, we have had several such songwriters whose songs one can look at alternatively even as poems. I do know that Lennon's Norwegian Wood has been published in poetry anthologies. It's already happened. Even a writer like Paul Simon, if you listen to his song America, it's pretty much a poetry of travel, things like that. And of course, Dylan's oeuvre is so much bigger. He has so many more albums, and he has written such a lot. He's also written books of poetry, Tarantulas, and I think another one also. So it's not that he is completely separate from the world of poetry. He knows what that is. He is amazingly multi-talented. Just recently, we were completely surprised by looking at his paintings. He makes some amazing paintings which are big, in which he paints landscapes of America. Who would have thought, he does something like that? And then we were even more surprised when we found that one of his great passions is metalwork. So he gets down with a welding torch and he puts pieces of metal together and makes these amazing sculptures. So a person who is as multi-talented as that, we can appreciate him at so many different levels. Would you perhaps tell us of some songs that are especially favorite to you because of the words?
There's no such thing like, favorite, because for me, I look at the content of the writing. For example, like, there's a story of the ballad of Frankie and Judas Priest. So the one used just bless you. I've had a heavy night and kind of stuff like that. Okay, maybe you need a glass of warm water. The restaurant is just on the back, you'll not miss anything. So, these are, see, for him he's a storyteller. So I'm sure that a good number of you must have listened over and over the songs or going through the writings of Bob Dylan. If you haven't been through it, but I guess it's time, like the saying goes, it's never too late. So before it is too late, before the Third World War comes, so you better get to do all that. Listen to his music, check out his writings and what it means. So this is one thing which is very, very important for us. And it'll be so nice if, I don't know if it's in Goa, if it's included in the syllabus of in any school or college, because in Kolkata they have already done that.
They have songs
included in the syllabus, which is very meaningful. So in this way we can see it's what's happening. It's for the growth. It's for the growth of the writing ability. The writing ability is that it's not for one to project oneself, but to share what one feels, what one has been through in life, and what they look forward to in life. So I guess, like the saying goes, the greatest joy is in sharing. So that is where the importance of writing is all about. Because to get a few words together, it's so easy. I mean, I've never written a poetry, but whatever it is, if you can call my little contribution to the field of music. But then if any one of you would like to check that out, you can always write to Majaw. It's a small little book called The Little Dreams of Majaw. So you see from this point that everyone, we share whatever we have been through in life and what is happening now. And tomorrow speaks for itself. So from that point, it is very, very important, because we are alive in this world to share. And what's the next best thing in life after living it is when you write, and then for painters is when they do the brushes. So these are the beautiful gifts that the boss upstairs has given us.
Taking this idea of sharing, you mentioned that in Calcutta they started bringing Bob Dylan songs into the school syllabus, and I'm sure this needs to be done more widely. There is a general sense that this kind of music has no role to play in academics, which of course is a fallacy, no doubt about it. I'm just wondering if I can just throw it open, that if the school syllabus in Goa had to include songs from Bob Dylan, which are the songs you think should be included as part of maybe the English textbooks?
Yeah, they can begin with, like I just mentioned, the Ballad of Frank Lee and Judas Priest. Let me take this one. Well, Frank Lee and Judas Priest, they were the best of friends. So when Frank Lee needed money one day, Judas quickly pulled out a roll of tens and placed them on the table, just above the butter plate, saying, "Take your big Frankie boy. Your loss will be my gain." But Frankie Lee, he sat right down, feeling low and mean, when just then a passing stranger burst into a scene, saying, "Are you Frankie, the gambler, whose father's these leagues? For if you are, there's a fellow calling you down the road, and they said his name is Priest." "Oh yes, he is my friend," said Frankie Lee of fright. "I do recall him very well, in fact, he just left my side." "That's the one," said the stranger, as quiet as a mouse. for my messages, he's down the road, he's driving in a house. Frankly, he panicked. He dropped everything and ran until he came up to the spot where Judas Priest did stand. What kind of house is this, he said, where I have come to roam? It's not a house, said Judas. It's not a house, it's a home. Frankly, he trembled. He soon lost all control over everything which he had made while the mission bells did toll. And he just stood there staring at a big house as bright as any sun, with 24 windows and a woman's face in every one. And up the stairs went Frankie Lee with a soulful bounding leap, and foaming at the mouth, he began to make his midnight creep. For 16 nights and days he reigned, but on the 17th he burst into the arms of Judas, which is where he died of thirst. And no one tried to say a thing when they brought him out in jest, except of course the little neighbor boy who carried him to rest. And he just walked along alone with his guilt, so well concealed and muttered underneath his breath, nothing is revealed. The moral of the story, the moral of the song, is simply that one should never be where one does not belong. So if you see your neighbor carrying something, help him with his load, and don't go on mistaking paradise for that hole across the road. Thank you. Brothers and sisters, those are the writings of a friend of us all, Bob Dylan.
And I think with this fabulous recitation, you have actually proved the point that we started off with.
Yes.
Can we consider Bob Dylan?
It has to go to school, it has to go to colleges, it has to go to universities. Majaw has been doing that for the past, for over 40 years, to be precise. The year 2017, Majaw will be celebrating 45 years of Bob Dylan's writings.
Excellent.
So Majaw has gone to schools, colleges, universities, other homes, especially the underprivileged institutions, orphanages. So the idea is to take Bob Dylan's writing to these areas, these neglected areas, because it's useless to go to those high-rise, 10, 20 monsters. But when we go to all these areas, share hope, and that hope is through the pen power of Bob Dylan.
On that note, can we open out the discussion to the audience? Would you like to ask any questions of Lou? Or maybe make a point or two about Bob Dylan's writings? Remember, our theme today is Bob Dylan as a poet. So, Sampur.
I just want to say two things. One, that having been a lifelong listener and lover of Bob Dylan's music, I think today when you put this song out loud in your own way, it really came home to me that this is poetry. I mean, it's just possible to own the words, to enact the words, to inhabit the words the way you've done it. And so I first want to thank you. I feel rather deeply moved by hearing these favorite songs made almost new because you are in them and the song is in you. So I just want to thank you for that. And I think it has to do something with the fact that very often this whole debate about music and whether the poetry is dependent on just the word, or whether music is making the lyric, elevating the lyric to the status of poetry. It seems a very bizarrely hierarchical thing to do. And somebody said very well that the best instrument for a poem is the voice. And it could be anybody's voice. I think what has happened to a lot of us for Dylan is also the nature of his voice, that grainy voice which I absolutely love. and the twang. It's not a musical melodic voice at all. But today I've understood for the first time that it's possible to separate the words from that voice. And by separating Dylan's lyrics or his words from his voice, it becomes a new way of entering the song as a poem, as a text. So just an observation based on this beautiful rendition.
Yeah, thank you. See, from that point, now suppose we are in this room. Now we see the light. But I see the light from a different perspective. Why? Because my eyes is focused over there. And each of us, we always see different light from a different perspective. So in a song, in a poetry, it's how it strikes an individual. That is the way Majaw feels. I can be wrong, like I told you, because I'm not, I'm not a heavy-duty, poet kind of stuff like that. But for me, I deal by feel, so which is something very, very important. Because you can frame a beautiful picture in whatever size, shapes, and design and color that you want. Because if the poetry, ballad, frankly and Judas Priest, if it means something to you, you will recite it in a different way. So it's up to an individual. It's not because you don't need that extra sweet voice or you don't need that heavy bass. But then, happy birthday, my God. I didn't get a hand from you, I get from outside as well. Lovely. So the most important thing is that we have to live that particular song. We have to live that particular poetry, that particular line, that particular word, what it does to us as an individual. And that's how we bring it to life. That's it.
The interesting contradiction in all this is that I remember way back when I was in college, the very first vinyl record which I had bought of Bob Dylan was a collection. And it said there right on top, and I remember it perfectly, it said, "Nobody sings Dylan like Dylan." But on the other hand, I think his words are also so conducive for other people to sing it and bring so much to it and enhance it. So of course we have Hendrix's version of All Along the Watchtower, which many people consider the greatest rock record ever made. Okay, or you have Joan Baez singing, or the Byrds who reinterpreted Mr. Tambourine.
But what about Manfred Mann? You see, Manfred Mann is an English musician who is very, very much underrated. His interpretation, you should, now at this time and age of Google, you can just check it, Manfred Mann.
Any other?
It's called Father of Night. Please, brothers and sisters, just check that out. It's a song penned by Bob Dylan. It's called Father of Night. Aha, I see what the guys have still just started to get into it. That's it, Father of Night by Manfred Mann. Yes, sir. Check up on it. And that kind of rendition, Manfred Mann is such an artistic person. He puts music, he painted different colors into that song. If you listen and say, hey, this is another word. From what Dylan says, Father of day and Father of night, Father of black and Father of white. But then Manfred Mann does it, there was so much color. In fact, it is psychedelia. In all its simplicity, it's psychedelia. Father of night. Check it out.
So I've been told that there's very little time left. So I would love to end by requesting you to recite any other song, poem by Bob Dylan, and give us a rendition just as you did one.
Well,
Frankie and Judas Priest.
not been a time where, I mean, like, I always make a lineup of songs or whatever. So, I don't know, I mean, like, it happened just then. I cannot repeat or whatever it is. So, but what is most important is that whatever, popular parents. So we must also make our own contribution to the field of poetry and songwriting. So in this way, we make a contribution to that field, which will be meaningful, which will help ourselves and which will help each and everyone who is into this beautiful art. So that's it.
We are very happy to have Mamang with us. I'm so happy that you have joined us. And there is very little time, so we would like you to have the last word. The discussion, of course, is on Bob Dylan as a poet, so perhaps you can say a few words on that.
Thank you, Mr. Dalvi. Good morning, everyone. I'm really sorry to join in at this last moment. It was because of traffic, and then in my mind I thought maybe Mr. Jerry Pinto, my friend, has done this. But talking about Bob Dylan, I don't know if there has been audience interaction and what people, all of you sitting here feel is Bob Dylan a poet? And there is also the question of him having received the Nobel Prize for Literature this year. So there's that question also as a poet in literature. But if you think about Leonard Cohen, who passed away recently, he also is a singer, songwriter, poet, and he has publications of poetry. Now, Dylan Thomas doesn't have, in my heart though, I say, okay, Dylan Thomas is a poet, as many songwriters are poets, because poetry was actually the first, literature began with the oral tradition in songs and ballads as it was sung. So, Bob Dylan, I think, was, I don't know, he must have gone through many phases. Only from a distance I've been looking at him as a poet, as someone I admired. I compare him a little bit in some of his, the earlier songs like Romance in Durango and in the album Desire, to Federico Lorca type of poetry. So if the question is Dylan Thomas a poet? I think I would say yes.
Thank you. And on that note, we would like to end this session. My thanks to Mamang, and especially thank you to. That was a spectacular performance. He will be performing tomorrow, and I'm sure that is something you do not want to miss. So thank you again, and I'll hand over the mic now to the organization.